BBC Coventry and Warwickshire, and on a Thursday, you know what that means, don't you? Yes, it's time to go to the movies with Radio Times and Metro newspaper movie reviewer Stratford-upon-Avon's James Luxford. Hi, James.
Hiya.
Best of luck getting back to Stratford, by the way, later.
Okay.
It's Christmas lights switch on tonight.
Oh, wow.
So just bear that in mind in your various, route planning.
I'll plan the back streets.
Yeah, okay. So we have been building this up for a good couple of hours. Today, you and in fairness, you've been building this up, saying we're going to get to this a couple of weeks ago on the programme. So it's arrived. It's that moment.
Yes, it's Frozen 2, the sequel to the huge Disney film from about 6 years ago now, where Elsa, Anna, and their friends head to a mysterious land to learn the origin of Elsa's powers.
The past is not what it seems. You must find the truth. Go north, across the enchanted lands, and into the unknown.
So I'm going to guess if you like Frozen 1, you're going to like Frozen 2.
Yeah, it's a really difficult film to review because you can't really... Here's the thing. It is not as good as Frozen.
Right.
For me, I don't think it had the let it go moment, the kind of the same flow of it. I think the plot's a little more complicated. It just doesn't feel as sort of magical. Then again, not a lot of films do, to be honest. Frozen had something that very few films, animated or not, tend to have. Would love to have. Sorry, and
but if there's no let it go moment. Are we? So, do we hear a "Let It Go" reprise, or is there another song they've attempted to do a "Let It Go" with?
There are lots of songs in there, and I just think with a sequel you're trying to recapture the magic.
Right.
With a sequel you're trying to create something that perhaps came out organically the first time. That's not to say it's not a good film. It looks beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's funny. It's an awful lot of fun. I think if you're the target audience for this movie, which is sort of younger kids, up to around teenage years, I suppose, early teenage years, it's not really going to matter. It's going to be more fun with the characters you like. So if I'm being sort of a mean film critic, I'm going to say not quite as good, but still a great fun film.
Frozen 2. There we are. Okay, let's move on to other business. There are other films out in Coventry and Warwickshire this weekend. The next one, a guy who I just loved when he was in Black Panther last year, Chadwick Boseman.
Yes, he plays a detective in 21 Bridges who traps two top killers in Manhattan by closing all, you guessed it, 21 bridges to the island.
We just killed House. You need to run.
We gotta move fast. Cars not ours, plates are stolen.
If we will catch these guys in the next 3 or 4 hours, they vanish.
Okay, any good?
I liked it. I thought it's perfectly sort of it sort of eats up sort of an hour and 40 minutes nicely. To be honest, this is a movie that would have been everywhere 20 years ago. I could imagine sort of Michael Douglas appearing in it or Denzel Washington perhaps 20 years ago.
I saw the trailer last weekend and my first thought was, Black Panther. And sort of it held my attention. And my first thought was, what's the Sly Stallone disaster movie where it's under a tunnel in Manhattan? Daylight.
Yeah.
And I went back there when I saw this.
Yeah, I think it's a sort of movie that would be everywhere, but I think somewhere about 15 years ago we had an influx of things like CSI, like I don't know, NCIS, things like that, all these procedurals that kind of made this sort of movie a bit redundant. And Chadwick Boseman is fantastic. Sienna Miller plays his partner, who's very good. J.K. Simmons is in there, but they're stuck in a film that kind of goes through the motions, kind of wastes their screen presence a bit. I think this is maybe something you watch on TV in a year's time on a Saturday night if you've got sort of nothing to do. But I don't know if you're going to head out to the cinema for it.
Okay, which brings us to Blue Story. This is interesting.
Yes, how old does this make me sound? A crime drama by YouTuber Rapman about two childhood friends separated by a gang feud.
Sounded great.
Whoever ain't riding with, man, is riding the gates, man. Remember that.
Right, so tell us a bit about this then.
Yes, it's a extension. It's a movie version of a web series that Mr. Rapman has been making, and I really liked it. It's about gun culture, gang culture, crime problems in inner city areas in the UK. It's a hard subject, but it doesn't really it doesn't glamorize, and neither does it condemn. It's not a lecture. It looks into why these young people, children essentially, are drawn into this life of violence, why they're attracted to it, why they're sometimes forced into it. Good acting from a very young cast.
Authentic?
Authentic, I think. And sort of bookended by sort of the two montages that make you realise the consequences of it. So quite a mature film, but also one that presents something in a way that's engaging.
Who's watching this? Who's going to go and watch it?
I'm assuming Mr. Ratman's YouTube
Crew.
followers.
Yeah,
Look,
right,
I'm 36. I don't know about YouTubers. I
Don't you give me that. I'm 53. All right. Just while I got you, last week we spoke about Le Mans 66, which I went to watch with my son at the weekend, and I just thought was amazing on the basis of your review, and Christian Bale and Matt Damon in those roles. And just a brilliantly executed movie.
Oh, yeah. I think it was really well put together. And we were just talking before we went on about Christian Bale just coming in, stealing the moment, and walking out.
Every scene with Matt Damon, you are looking at Christian Bale and you can think, he stole every scene.
It's very fantastic.
James, good to see you. Safe journey back to Stratford. Quick heads up for next week. Anything we're particularly sort of thinking about? Festivities?
Charlie's Angels. Ooh. It's a big flop in the US, but is it worth the headlines? We'll find out.
Okay, all right, good man. James Luxford, and you can read his reviews, remember, in the Metro newspaper and also in the Radio Times magazine. Headed back to Stratford-upon-Avon and some Christmas lights tonight.
BBC Coventry and Warwickshire Travel.